Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
So the next time around will be 11 through 15. So that's what you need to be ready for 1 month from now. Potentially our Dragon Ball GT review of Awesomeness number 3. We couldn't quite get it off the ground this week. Everyone was a little busy with their schedules. But hopefully look forward to that next week. Next week is episode 291. It's a magical number. And I think it would be wonderfully ironic if on 291 we happen to talk about GT. Gotta do that GT
If there's
review.
anything that will make you feel better, it is GT.
I know. It's not that we didn't want to do it or been intentionally putting it off, but that GT review is coming soon. If it weren't for sickness and weddings, I keep making excuses. I think I'm actually going to see Jeff later today, so we'll see what's going on with possible GT plannings and various things. Again, we need to pull Jeff in. He's out this weekend. Hopefully our buddy Jeff will be joining us again in the future with multiple announcements of awesomeness and even more awesomeness. You know what the awesomeness is. This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 316 for the week of December 2nd, 2012.
Oh my God! Oh, wow! What
my goodness.
Wait, what?
Welcome to this episode of Kanzenshuu, the podcast. Here we are. It is December 2012. We are proud to welcome someone back to the show.
Is it me?
Yes. Welcome back, Meri. We do have things to talk about with you, though. So don't get too distracted over there. My name is Mike, VegettoEX. I am the ringleader of this podcast circus week in, week out at Kanzenshuu. Across from me, it's been a few weeks. Meri, welcome back to the show.
It's good to be back here in this room that I kind of forgot that we had.
It's actually a little cold in here.
I know,
right now.
that's why I went for an extra sweater.
Good move over there. Joining me a little bit later on will be Julian. He's not here with us to do the non-news stuff, but Julian and I did record news earlier today. Big stuff talking about the upcoming movie, Battle of Gods. So if you're looking forward to that, stay tuned. All of that coming your way. But also joining us for the first time since episode 284, when we were still only DBGT, we are now Kanzenshuu in a surprise twist. Jeff, welcome back, man.
The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
It's a twist.
We need to add that to the rumor guide. Jeff is not dead. Right under the Toriyama's not dead. Jeff is also not dead.
Exactly.
Jeff, you are here.
Yes.
You are part of a monthly recurring segment.
Monthly.
Monthly?
In quotes.
Really?
Maybe quarter?
No, we're yearly.
Biannual.
We are almost yearly at this
Yearly. We really want this segment to last as long as it can.
Did I actually say this was a monthly segment? I'm pretty sure I just said it was a recurring segment. Maybe I did say monthly. Jeff, it has been a long time, but when you are here on the show, that means it is an X review of awesomeness, and it is full of awesomeness here in this house.
You're reviewing the letter X?
Yeah, so we are reviewing the letter X.
You know, it happens to have 4 sides, I saw.
Right. And I think when they intersect, they make some kind of angle.
So, Jeff.
Hi.
We just finished watching Dragon Ball GT episodes 11 through 15.
And I can't absorb this alcohol any faster to take it.
It is time for Dragon Ball GT review of awesomeness number 3, episodes 11 through 15. Thank you for joining us.
We're only on the third one.
We're only on the third one. 15 episodes of 64 episodes.
Gasp! You reminded me. Oh my God. Well, if you think about it, the silver lining is that we're like a fifth of the way through.
I love you guys. So this is going to be a grand episode. We do have news for you. Then we are going to come right back to the three of us here reviewing Dragon Ball GT episodes 11 through 15. Before we get to that, there's so much great Dragon Ball content for you this episode, but I do want to catch up with you real quick. Jeff, you did Otakon year 19, was it this year?
Yes.
Head of publications, that went well.
Well, head of design and publications.
Design and publications, okay.
Yep, so that did go well. The convention, from our perspective, was a great success, considering that a lot of the ideas that we had were able to be taken to fruition, and some of the more ambitious stuff we can sort of save for the 20th in the next year.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, of course, I won't be a part of it. I actually gracefully took a leave of absence, I guess you could say.
Sure.
So I could focus on some more important things personally, I guess you could put it that way.
And Jeff?
Yeah, I am engaged. I will
is
be.
engaged.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'll be
Congrats,
getting married
man.
in March.
Yes.
So I have a lovely lady that is lucky to be my bride. No, I'm kidding.
It's true.
I have a wonderful woman who agreed to be called my wife, let alone get married to me. So we're preparing for that right now. So I had to. I decided to leave out Otakon so I can put more attention to that for right now.
It's been a busy year for you, man.
Yeah, it really has been.
That's okay.
Yeah, not to
We've
mention
been
I've had
there.
to move. I've
Yeah.
had to
Know
move
what
in
that's
there.
done
like.
Yeah, exactly. So I've moved like 3 times in the past year.
Yeah, a year ago this time, or maybe a little bit after this time, you were living with us.
Right.
And then you moved into the apartment, and now you're with your fiance. So,
Yes.
yeah, that is 3 moves.
Yeah. So I basically.
You are a nomad.
It's funny because I think in our history, Mike and Meri, quote me if I'm or tell me if I'm wrong here, but let's see. So we were 2 seconds away. Then
Yes.
we were
Yes.
10 minutes away. Then we were 2 seconds away again, technically.
Right.
And then we were like 45 minutes away. And now we're about 10 minutes away again.
Wait. What was the first 2 seconds away?
The apartment.
The apartment.
Oh, I thought
And
you
the
were...
second 2 seconds was when he lived in our guest room
Right, okay.
for a month.
So, I mean, it's been like, I sort of measure things by how distant I am from you at a certain point in my life.
Right.
So now we're back to about 10 minutes apart.
Pulling you back in, man.
What we should have done was when you were living here was just do all the GT then, but we couldn't have known.
We did one of them. That would have been, I think, January-ish. So, all right. So, Jeff, you are here.
Yes.
Of course, we make no guarantees about when number 4 will be, but for now, GT review number 3, this episode.
Indeed.
Very excited. So that is coming your way in a little bit. Before we get to anything newsy, that kind of stuff, one kind of slightly major announcement for Kanzenshuu here. We were working on this for quite a long time, but the fine folks at Screw Attack reached out to us, and we provided dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon more dozens upon extra dozens of pages of translations and research for the latest episode of Death Battle, a video series where they pit 2 characters from alternate extra non-same universes against each other. This one will be Goku versus Superman.
The eternal struggle.
The eternal struggle. That episode will debut online on December 21st. They have made that formal announcement. You can check out the teaser trailer for it.
For, just all you out there, we actually don't know who wins.
Right. I do want to
I'm
say...
stewing over it.
I do want to say ahead of time that we did not influence that kind of stuff. We didn't write the script. All we did was provide factual
Straight up
translations, evidence, citations. That's the important thing. You know what we do at Kanzenshuu. That's what we do best. That's what we contributed to this project. So I am looking forward to learning who wins this battle. Our good buddy DBGT from Team 4-Star is playing Goku in this video, so we're very excited about that. So if you are fans of Team 4-Star and Kanzenshuu, I think you have some cool stuff coming your way later this month.
Okay, so place your bets. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think I said this to you the other day. I think ultimately Superman is going to win, but Goku will get right back up and say, "That was awesome. Let's go again."
Good answer.
Yep.
Good answer.
That's what I think.
I'd love to see Goku win.
I don't really care one way or the other.
I don't know enough about Superman to.
Exactly. I don't know. So.
I just don't know. It just seems like the man is, immortal, and
Jeff?
Goku's pretty damn close.
That's-
Well, technically, if Goku is Super Saiyan 4, then he should be able to defeat anything, and so therefore it's that way. And
GT
Superman
counts.
sucks, and GT counts, and therefore, yeah. No, I really have no opinion on the matter.
All right. So that is an extra announcement that we have. We were working on that for weeks upon weeks. Plenty of helpful members of the Kanzenshuu community were roped in to help us with that. So with that said, what we're going to do now is transition to myself and Julian covering this week's worth of news. And then magically, we're going to come right back to the 3 of us here covering Dragon Ball GT episodes 11 through 15. Joining me on a fine Sunday morning over here in New Jersey, but a fine Sunday evening over in Japan, covering news because most of the news came from this guy. Julian, yeah, well, voice again cracking. I don't know how to control myself here.
Yes, well, it is my pleasure to be here as well. And, it was kind of crazy for news this week.
It was, man. Let's get going here. The first thing, we are hitting full stride on Battle of Gods news at this point. Movie's coming out in March, so now we're really only a couple months out. So, of course, the big news from this week was Battle of Gods related. Now, what we have here is a visual confirmation on prior leaked things, but additional information. So why don't you take me through all of it here?
Well, basically, we have scans that leaked from next week's, or I should really say tomorrow's at this point.
But by the time you're listening to this, it's out.
Yes. And so we got finally confirmation of the poster that first appeared as sort of a grainy screenshot on Twitter ages ago. I don't know. It feels like an eternity in internet years, but it's probably only a couple of weeks.
It was only a couple of weeks, yeah.
So, yes, we have confirmation of the poster. And it's the same thing, but there are some slight differences, like the positioning of the minor characters down below, which suggests that the previous image was maybe done by somebody who was either working on the poster, him or herself, or had access to the work in progress.
This is a really interesting case. Usually we see stuff ahead of time, but it's just the exact same thing later on. Oh, this is the actual page from the magazine. This was, wow, we got a glimpse at what was clearly a pre-production version of this page, this poster. I can't think of a time when we've had that before.
Yeah, me neither, actually. It certainly hasn't happened with DragonBall at the very least.
No, and that was a really cool thing to see. And like you said, they're all just little minor things. I think Yamcha's in a different place, but it's just a really, really cool view into this world. And I'm sure Toei's not happy about it, but hey, it happened and embrace it.
And I think one other thing that people noticed was that the haircuts, I think, for Yamcha and Kuririn were different from some of the pre-production artwork, like on the website.
Right.
And I think they were just using stock images for that, really.
Or, maybe when they had done those images, the movie's script wasn't even final, or vice versa, or something like that. So who knows?
Right.
They might have just... And that's tying in with... Jake was joking about, we create this thread for the movie and it turns into a thread about Gohan's hair. Now we have an entirely new thread dedicated to discussing Gohan's hair, and that turns into a thread about people's clothes. So I don't think people really know what to do with their conversations.
Yeah. And and again, they have a history with this franchise of previewing not finalized things that change a lot. The preview for any given Dragon Ball Z movie is basically lots and lots of unfinished animation and clips from the TV show and existing animation on different backgrounds. And
there'll be a pan up on a still frame and then footage from prior movies, and then, hey, look forward to it. So this is a little bit different, but all right, we'll leave Gohan behind here because personally, I don't really care. They can do whatever they want there, but I know folks are all up in arms over that. But let's turn it to the great information contained herein, because we do have text in addition to the image.
So around the outside, Zetto no joshiki o yaburu hakaishin. Let me see. A god of destruction who violates the common sense of Z descends.
All right, let's pull it apart. This is what we do. What does this common sense of Z, what does that mean? What kind of reading does that have? Or do we not even know how to pull that apart?
Well, my impression at first was that it's something that tears apart everything you know about the series. But again, it's also possible that it's an in-universe sort of thing, that it goes against all logic established, but that's the whole point sort of thing. So it's not a massive retcon, or it is a massive retcon, but it's something that exists to be something like that, and they're all reacting to it in shock.
Right, so it could be something like we've been talking about, where we do know what the standard god hierarchy is, and there's always been conversations about, even after Toriyama revealed the Shinjin stuff and the Maikaioshin in the Super Exciting Guide, a lot of these god figures, I should say all of them, they're all still mortal. They can die. There's no one truly omnipotent in the series. So maybe this could be someone like that coming in and being like, hey guys, I do exist.
Yes.
Here you go.
Right.
But we don't know.
Right. No, we don't know at all. So it'll be interesting to see what that means. It's possible that it could be both ways. You know, it'll be something that shakes up what the existing order is in the series and what fans have come to expect.
Yeah, just swap up that formula of Goku and friends go up against bad guy, Goku gets beaten down, Goku finds inner strength and wins.
Yes.
Maybe we can overcome that common sense of Z for once. All right, so we had that sentence, but then we had another one kind of revealing one of the names, and then, of course, we'll get into the next page. But
So, キービジュアル公開。こいつが破壊神ビルスだ. So, key visuals revealed. This is the god of destruction, Virus. I'll leave the pronunciation in Japanese for now because...
right, we'll get to that too. All right, so we have a god of destruction, again, using the word god. Well, not really using the word god here.
Yes, well, Hakai Shin, and the Shin is God. So,
but it's not, I guess I was saying it's not the kami to kami, pulling kami from
it's
what
a
we had
different
there.
pronunciation, but it means the same thing. It's a deity of ruin, god of ruin.
So there's that page. We get a name for a character. Of course, I guess we don't know which character they're referring to until we look at the next page. Well, lower on the page.
Yes. So we should say initially this came in two
parts.
Two little scans that were pieces of the same page. And we later got a nice high quality scan of the entire page from some other industrious person who got the magazine early. The miracles of the internet. But anyway, further down the page, we have character designs for these two characters, their names, and the people who will be voicing them.
Very exciting here. All right, so take us through these new movie characters.
So we have Birusu, the god of destruction, who we just mentioned, and he's specifically mentioned as being a cat-like being, or having a cat-like appearance. So I guess that settles that. And people have noted that it's basically a sphinx. It's a breed of cat that's hairless that looks like that.
Right.
So he's going to be voiced by Koichi Yamadera. And Koichi Yamadera, actually, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh my God, yeah.
I know him best probably as the voice of Kabao-kun and Kamameshidon and Meiken Cheese in Anpanman because of watching so much together with my daughter. Baikinman in that series is also voiced by Ryusei Nakao. Just as a slight tangent. Anyway,
Very nice.
So another villain.
I mean, he goes back to the 80s on that series in particular, but also just voice acting in general.
Yeah.
He was Ryoga and Ranma, just going down the list here. What else do we have? He was Kaji in Evangelion. He was Spike in Cowboy Bebop. So we're talking about someone of a very high caliber here.
Yes. And he has been involved with Dragon Ball before. So back in 1991, Hirotaka Suzuki, the usual voice actor for Tenshinhan, took ill and was briefly hospitalized. So in 2 episodes, where the crew who were killed by Vegeta and Nappa were watching the battle from planet Kaio, Tenshinhan was voiced briefly by Koichi Yamadera instead.
And I'm pretty sure that Kei on the forum said, yeah, even us Japanese fans at the time didn't even realize it was someone else until the end of the episode.
Yes, I think even Heath didn't notice back when in the Kanzentai days.
Yeah.
He didn't hear any difference, and I don't think we heard any difference either. But if you look in the credits, it is indeed the voice credit for him.
Very nice. And we've had that before. We had, I know back when we were talking about the many voices of Kame Sennin, there was an episode where Daisuke Gori played him during one of the Tenkaichi Budokai episodes, just because, I mean, folks get sick for a week, and it's a weekly series, so it happens.
Yes, exactly. And we have also one other character here.
Yes.
Moving on. We have Uisu. Sounds like a casual greeting. Uisu. But we don't know.
Uis, or Goku.
But anyway, we don't know anything about this guy. We don't even know if it's male. We're kind of assuming he looks masculine. It's
Right.
blue, has a sort of tall, pointy, white hair thing. There's lots of speculation surrounding this character that we won't get into just yet. But the voice actor for this is going to be Masakazu Morita.
And this is actually a returning Dragon Ball voice, whether you know it or not. Played Tarball in the 2008 Jump Super Anime Tour special, but many Shonen Jump fans probably know him as Ichigo from Bleach.
That's right. So those are our 2 new characters, and we don't know anything more about them than that right now.
No, that's it. We have 2 names. We have one who is the God of Destruction,
Yes.
And that's what we're going off of right now.
Yes, and we do note that God of Destruction appears to be an actual title of some sort because it's included in the box with his name. So I don't know whether that is in his job description or just what he calls himself, but whatever.
I'm going to need your CV, sir.
Also, we thought, based on some speculation and a lot of the Japanese fans' agreement, that they were probably based on alcohol puns. We figured uisu is probably whiskey, and then birusu is maybe by way of pirusu or pirusna, which is pilsner. But
Julian, tell me, because I've been out of Japanese formal education for many, many years at this point.
Yes.
When you switch the little diddlies on the side of a kana, where you got the two little hangy things instead of a circle,
Yes.
what do you call those things?
daku. Well, the two things for the two little chonchon is a dakuten, or
Okay.
it's also called nigori, which actually means like muddying.
Okay.
But and then the circle thing is just maru.
Okay. So it's one of those cases, and we've had this in DragonBall proper for many, many years, where
Yes.
you switch out the little marks that further define the kana into something that slightly changes it. So instead
Yes.
of PI, you get a BI sort of sound. And
Yes.
that's happened plenty of times before, and the rest of it seemed to make sense. They seem to fit together. So, and I do want to make a point that we specifically wrote in this update, we cannot confirm that these are the intended puns, and we will let you know. So we did leave ourselves an out there.
Yes, and well, I was curious too, so I went on Twitter and I contacted the scriptwriter about whether this was it. And the next day, I got a response, and it said, "Nope, that's not it."
Well, he said that's not the source. So it's, I don't know, it's tough here.
Yes.
'Cause we don't have an answer.
We don't know. Watch this space, basically.
Right. All right, man. So what else can we pull from this page? I think we covered pretty much everything. This is really the first in-depth information that we're starting to get about the movie. Yeah, a title, yeah, some initial character designs, but this is, we're hitting plot territory at this point.
Right. We're probably gonna start getting reveals about what sort of thing is actually going to happen in this movie very soon.
I got nothing else. This was really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sort of had this before with the Jump Super Animator special. There were character design sheets and all that kind of stuff that came out. And yeah, we heard about the plot. That I feel like that was different because worldwide, we were all able to watch it at the exact moment that it launched because it was streaming for free online and came with multiple subtitles. You, sir, have direct access to this movie in the only location that it is debuting.
Yes.
So here's what we're going to have to do. You are going to go see the movie, immediately return home. I don't care what time of day. I will stay up all night with you if I have to. I want to put out a podcast that day.
Well, let's see. March 30th is a Saturday, so with
I can
any
do
luck,
it.
I will be able to do that. And
Perfect.
I don't know what was going on, but for the live action movie,
For Evolution.
I was
Right.
in the area on something else, and I figured I'd go up to the theater to see what the show times were for the next day when it was supposed to come out, and they were doing a preview showing. So I wasn't married yet at the time, so I just figured, oh, okay, I'll watch it.
Right.
And that's how I was able to watch the movie before it actually officially came out.
Right. I do understand that the wife may have other thoughts and other concerns about you
Yes.
taking all this time to go see the movie and record about it. But I knew you first, so I win.
Okay, I guess
All
that
right.
works.
Is there anything else to pull out about the movie here? I think that's pretty much it. We got names. We have a title for one of them. Yes, he's supposed to be cat-like, and the name puns are not necessarily alcohol-based.
Yes, and that's all we have for right now about that. I have my tickets.
I know. I'm very excited.
But yes, we're into December. I think really things are going to heat up from here, especially as we head into the new year. It's going to be intense for a while.
Yeah.
And to go back to something that we've mentioned on the podcast before, this is a textbook case of what happens when there is actually something new Dragon Ball coming out.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff about, for example, purported new series that comes out once in a while, like your AF and your other stuff that we're not going to get into here. It doesn't exist. There's nothing about it. but when there is something real, this is what it's like. And it's a lot of work for us.
It is, but we enjoy it because it's usually a case of you're just before going to bed and I am just arriving at the office. It's perfect time to kind of double team these with translations and updates. I love it.
Yes. Works out pretty well.
Yeah, it's good times, good times. All right, so we'll leave the movie behind for right now. There's not a whole lot else to go on, but I'm sure we'll be back to it next week. So my news for you this week is the cover for Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission on the Japanese Nintendo 3DS. We knew, I think, maybe a week or so ago, the game was due out February 28th. It's coming out for 5,800 yen. But the exciting thing here is that the full-size cover art has been released to retailers, which we do have up on the homepage, of course, of Kanzenshuu. So you can see some of the giant characters in the background and some of the other characters and with some of the avatar characters as well. And of course, you got to have Broly on the cover, just like you have to have Broly in the opening animation. It is Dragon Ball in the 21st century here. So there you go. Any thoughts on the cover, Julian? It's kind of a cover.
It looks nice.
It's standard.
It's a cover.
Yep, it is.
It's got a mixture of GT, movie, and series villains, plus Majin in a funny hat.
Yes, I like it. You gotta have the funny hats these days. Keep Julian interested. All right, so all the news about this game, again, really came out about last week from VJump, so you can check all that stuff out linked in the appropriate entries. Do want to remind people that the Nintendo 3DS, as opposed to every other Nintendo handheld in the past, with a little asterisk there about a little bit of DSi only software, region locked. You cannot import this game and expect to play it on your, for example, North American 3DS. So we're kind of shit out of luck at this point, but I guess we'll hold out hope. All right, Julian, why don't you take us to something we kind of forgot about? We got so wrapped up in movie news and other things that no one really flipped around to the rest of January's VJump.
Yes. So, well, in January's VJump, we have a continuation of what we already had with the past two issues, which was a spin-off of Dragon Ball Heroes entitled Victory Mission. So this is the third chapter here, but it's much longer than the previous two. It was only a couple of pages in the first two issues, but this one is...
I believe it's 9 pages in total as opposed to 2.
Yes, and so in this one, we have the appearance of Super Saiyajin 4 Son Goku.
It's really weird how the characters are characters in universe, but the characters are also cards in universe.
Yeah, so basically the setup is kind of like they're playing the game, but somehow they're also simultaneously in the game as their avatars and directing Goku around like a Pokemon, as K17 put it on Twitter. Son Goku, I choose you. Use your Super Saiyajin 10 times Kamehameha.
It's super effective, apparently.
Opponent baby was defeated or fainted.
That's kind of the story of this. It's promotional. It's not meant to be taken as a serious, ongoing. I mean, it is an ongoing story, but it's a promo for Heroes. But here we go. An extended series of pages here. As it goes on further, people are more and more convinced that the mysterious Toyotaro author here may in fact be Toible of Dragon Ball AF Online Doujinshi fame. Of course, there is no official confirmation, but we did have more speedline comparisons and exact framing comparisons from his AF versus the original manga, so it's looking more and more likely, but we will not go on record as saying yes, absolutely, but we're mostly on the same page, I think.
Yes, just as we're not, we're pretty sure that Naho Oishi is this doujin author who's done a lot of, basically pornographic works involving Dragon Ball characters. We're not sure, but the art style is very similar.
Yep. It lines up. Everything is aligning here. So VJump January, there's a lot of good stuff in there. This is the time of year when magazines will be filled with Dragon Ball goodness. It's not really news, but I went ahead and added Victory Mission over to the manga guide. I figured it was about time for 3 chapters in here. So you can check that out over in the spin-off section. That would be about all of the news that there is. But Julian, if I can direct you, I meant to update with this the other today, but we didn't get around to it. Julian, if I can direct you over to the Zenkai Battle Royale website, if we check out the news page, a couple people linked us over to this. If you can check it out, we got new costumes that are already coming and will be coming. It looks like a date range of November 15th, so it's already passed, through December 12th, which is coming up soon.
So you can get items for customizing your characters by playing special item acquisition battles in the game. So if you play, it looks like single player or with a friend, you get these random item acquisition battles. I want to say item get battle, but I don't know that. I think that's Japanese
item
English.
Get though.
It says item kaktokusen is what it says in Japanese.
Oh, okay. It's not
but if you get first place under Battle Royale rules, or if you win under Team Battle rules, then you get this customization item. And it's pretty cool stuff. So the first, it's different for every week. So the first week you get these battle damage uniforms for different characters: Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Future Trunks. Second week you get sort of some alternative
mishmash here.
Yeah, like damaged Vegeta costume, creating with his I think it's the jacket he wore on Namek at first. Mm-hmm. Battle damaged Nappa, battle get damaged Ginyu, and scuffed up Frieza. Third week we have a Super Saiyajin Son Gohan. I'm not sure, alternative outfit, I guess, because he's
tough to tell here.
Yes, it doesn't show the whole body because it wants to keep some of the suspense. But number 16 without his armor, 17 battle damaged, 18 with her sleeveless jacket, something involving Dr. Gero, and a blue Cell like a Cell Jr. Mm-hmm. And the last week is Vegeta in shorts and boots and nothing else. Trunks in another variant of his costume. Dabra in a palette swap. Majin Buu in his red pajamas.
Yes, I love it. Mr. Satan here, I love this one. It's his movie 9 special outfit.
Oh yes, with the like the devil armor on there.
Yep.
And Broly in a palette swap.
No shirt, palette swap Broly.
Yes.
Very
so
nice.
This is every week it's different. So right now we're into the third week. So
Right.
You've got the Jinzo Ningen and Cell and Super Saiyajin Son Gohan outfits.
Cool stuff to look forward to. I've been poking around a little bit more on the Zenkai Battle Royale site. There's an entire page dedicated to every time there's a point update to the game with balancing issues and fixes, they detail every single last tweak they make, where it's like, adjusted the number of frames after this attack to allow for more combo opportunities or something like that. They detail an incredible amount of information here. That's the kind of stuff that gets me more and more excited. Like, it's a Dragon Ball game, and they're balancing it, and
Yes.
they're play testing it. Gimme. Come on,
Yes,
let's go.
it looks like a lot of fun. And if I had the time to play this game instead of
I know, right?
having a full-time job and being a father of a 2-year-old, yeah,
I hear you,
a
man.
lot of fun.
I can't empathize just yet, but I'm getting there.
Yes. The only other thing I want to note is on the website, on the left-hand side, where it says Zenkai Battle Royale Towa. So what is Zenkai Battle Royale? There's this little mark next to it that's yellow on one side and green on the other.
Yes.
And I should explain that that's the Wakaba mark, or it's like the new leaf mark for new drivers, basically. So if you're still learning how to drive, that's the sticker that you have to put on your car.
That's the thing to look for if you're a newbie.
Yes. There's a similar one that's orange and gray, I think, for elderly drivers.
So that would be us.
Well, yeah, I call it the Kareha mark, which is the dead leaf mark, but actually it's called the silver mark.
Gotcha.
But anyway.
Very nice. All right, that is the news right now. There's plenty more to come. So, Julian, thank you for joining me for the news, man.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
All right, so we're going to turn it back over to your regularly scheduled in-progress episode of Kanzenshuu, the podcast. If you are joining us for a review of Awesomeness for the first time, and because it's been quite a while, and I'm sure we have many new folks who have never heard one of these before, we started this years and years and years ago. We started with the beginning of the manga, the very, very first chapter. We went through the entire manga, all 42 volumes, chapter
Jesus,
by
when
chapter.
you say it like that, it's kind of like, I don't
Where did our
remember.
lives go?
No, not where did our lives go. It's that content is just so extensive that it doesn't feel like 42 volumes. So when you
did
say
it.
the number 42, you're like, oh my God,
We did
there's a lot
that.
of reviews, a lot of chapters.
We went through the entire thing. We gave you a recap of each volume, and then we went around and got all sorts of different perspectives. We, of course, had myself and Julian, who had read the entire thing front to back, Julian in Japanese, as well as through the Viz translation. Meri, you had read a good portion of it, primarily a fan of the TV series, so you were visiting a lot of the manga for the first time, but longtime fan. Jeff, you knew of Dragon Ball. You had some Cell era fan subs and occasionally caught some stuff on Cartoon Network, but for all intents and purposes, you were the Dragon Ball newbie going through the entire series for the first time with us.
Totally.
And that was a very exciting way to cover. We already did this. This entire archive is available for you. You can listen to it. It's awesome. We concluded the manga. We said, where do we go next? Naturally, Dragon Ball GT continued that story. People were looking forward to it. They were calling it. Of course, that's what we were going to do. We have already done 2 episodes of our Dragon Ball GT review of Awesomeness. We covered episodes 1 through 5, and then we covered episodes 6 through 10. Here we are. This is, I think, going to be the last time we do 5 episodes for a batch in review. We are doing 11 through 15 right now.
It's probably for the better because we usually have to get resuscitated by the end of the 3rd episode.
I know. It was tough. It was tough. So what we're going to do, like we usually do, is we will give you a recap of those episodes. We're going to kind of go through one by one each and read a recap of the episode. The notes we did differently this time. The manga was easy because I could do the notes on my own after we all read it, and I could refer to the pages itself. The way that we did the last 2 episodes were we kind of based it ahead of time off of the old Curtis Hoffman summaries, and I adjusted them a little bit. Those just went on too long. So what I did this time is I just took short notes while we were watching the episodes. And because it's TV adaptation, well, it's not even an adaptation, it's completely new material, I could just cut out a lot of fluff that I might not if I was doing it kind of on my own time. So I had...
Real-time notes.
Right, real-time notes. So that's what we're going to do. Meri, I think you used the phrase learning pains or...
Growing pains. This is growing pains.
That's the phrase.
Growing
What's
pains and
pains?
learning experience.
Thank
That's
you.
what I'm trying to say.
So that's how this is going to go, and I can't wait to go around and get some perspectives here, because I'm pretty sure I had never seen any of these episodes.
I've seen half.
Meri thought she did.
I thought I did. I'm pretty sure I've actually ended up seeing all of these.
Can you believe? I mean,
Now that I think
Kanzenshuu
about
staff
it.
here, never seen. And of course, Jeff.
What are you
Totally
talking
new.
about? I don't
Hell
know.
if he knows.
What is this?
Whatever.
All right, so we're going to go around episodes 11 through 15, and then we're going to get some thoughts here. Jeff, why don't you kick us off episode 11 of Dragon Ball GT?
Okay, so we start the episode with Pan and Gil stuck on Bon Para's ship. Now, the Power Brothers tell Trunks and Goku they're off to planet Lood via autopilot, where they crash land. It turns out that there's a Dragon Ball here, and it's close by. Pan comes across a temple. Inside that temple, there are people praying to Lood, and that also happens to be where the 6-star Dragon Ball is. Trunks and Goku make their way to Lood on their own spaceship, with the Power Brothers in tow, of course. Inside the temple, Mochi Mochi wants to bring Lood back to life to bring about the destruction of the universe and create their own new order.
In their own, whatever. Typical thing. Destroy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Pan is turned into a doll by Mochi Mochi. Who knows, they have the 4-star ball. She can still think as a doll, apparently, because she has this nice inner monologue through most of the
Constantly,
episode.
yep.
But she is dropped when Trunks and Goku barge in. Goku notices that Pan's key has disappeared. The idol turns the Power Brothers into dolls too. Mochi Mochi tosses them into the pit, which seems to power it up. The idol attempts to zap Goku and Trunks while Mochi Mochi tries to whip them, and a giant lion named Leon is summoned to the fight, but Goku nonchalantly blasts some rocks down to beat it. Very, very easily. Also turns out it was robotic. Gil goes to save the Pan doll, but is kicked away by something while Mochi Mochi is also blown away to bits. The whip that Mochi Mochi was carrying around, turns out it's the priest of Lood.
Muchi.
Muchi.
Also, Jeff, robots, space, come on now.
True.
Robots
True.
in space.
Meri, episode 12 of Dragon Ball GT.
All right, so it starts with Goku and Trunks facing off against Muchi, and he gets smacked around a little bit. Goku gets trapped and is forced to turn into a Super Saiyan. Inside, a dude is petting the Pan doll really creepily, and he's watching Goku fight Muchi. He knows that Goku will win, so he has to wake that thing up. He orders all of his followers to go inside of it. Doll Taki is going to appear before his subjects. He introduces himself as a mouthpiece for Lood and the father of Loodism. It's time for Lood to be resurrected. They all need to offer up their lives, though, so...
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I know. Sucks to be in a cult. The people below start to figure out that Lood is just a machine when Doll Taki starts to control it with a remote control. Everyone starts to get turned into dolls and sucked inside the machine. It's still not enough energy, though, but Doll Taki thinks it'll be enough to take on that kid being Goku. Trunks eventually also turns into a Super Saiyan to break out from underneath a pyramid of rocks. He constantly is saying to himself, I haven't been training hard enough, but he's able to lift up a pile of rocks, okay? Muchi is starting to have problems with Goku as a Super Saiyan, but is able to wrap him up with his whips again until Trunks blasts in to save him. Inside, Doll Taki places the Pond doll inside a whole little dollhouse just set up especially for her. He couldn't possibly sacrifice her to Lood. Inside, Trunks finds the doll of one of the followers of Lood while Goku finds the Dragon Ball. Doll Taki comes out and shows him the Pond doll and also fires up Lood to go.
Episode 13, Dragon Ball GT. The machine has been awakened. Goku thinks it has a funny face, but Trunks senses an enormous key. That's an interesting thing there. We'll come back to this and has key. Doll Taki continues to be creepy with Pan as the others fight outside. Goku fires a Kamehameha to the face, but it doesn't really do anything. Doll Taki is summoned by a mysterious voice before he can change Pan's clothes, because obviously that's where that was going. Inside, he bows before a screen, and Dr. Mew, who appears to be asking for the Dragon Balls to be collected. And he also knows about Shenlong. Dr. Mew asks if Lood is at level 3, but Doll Taki only has him up to level 2. Mew starts to get a look at the two people fighting Lood, who are able to turn up the heat as Super Saiyans. Mew wants Lood to absorb the Pond doll, but since he doesn't want to give her up, Mew turns him into a doll too. Lood is finally powered up to level 3. Jeff, take us to episode 14.
So, episode 14, Lood is now at full power. Now he's all red and stuff and firing things and being a real threat to Goku and Trunks. Inside, however, Pan wakes up and it turns out she's floating around with all the followers and Doll Taki. Outside, Lood is destroying everything while Dr. Mew watches. Inside again, the Power Brothers get Doll Taki dancing so they can force info out of him about escaping. Lood's weak point, it turns out, is a cell up above. It also turns out that Lood is a mutant that Dr. Mew created from a single cell. Sounds very familiar.
Never heard that before.
He will have to be attacked from both the inside and the outside at the same time in order to be defeated. The Power Brothers can use telepathy, so they're going to, well, sing to help out. And Pan thinks this is really unnecessary. Goku can't see where to attack, so Pan shoots it from the inside, and that kind of shows a little spark on the outside. Kind of shows where the weak point is specifically. They tried to do counting in order to get Pan and Goku to shoot at the same time, but apparently Goku has no rhythm. Probably never played DDR ever in his life.
Never.
Instead, they decide to use food bowls as a counting measure.
They start with like pork.
Katsudon, and then
I forget what they
I
end on.
forgot what
Yeah,
else.
but that's how it goes.
And somehow that works.
The rhythm of food. Can you feel it, Jeff? Can you feel it?
Can you feel the rhythm of food? When it's in my stomach. So because of this rhythm of food thing, Lood is defeated and everyone inside returns to normal. Doll Taki, however, escapes. He's off into space.
All right, the final episode of our batch here, Meri, Dragon Ball GT episode 15.
So with that little escapade out of the way, the group is wandering through space as Goku wonders what type of guy Dr. Mew is. Trunks wants to go back to Earth and swap out Pan for Goten, which Pan happens to hear, and she's none too pleased about this, so she throws a little temper tantrum off in her room. Gil senses a Dragon Ball on a nearby planet, so they head on in. They get attacked by a scorpion worm thing, which shoots out sand and it damages the ship. Pan, in her hissy fit, takes off while Trunks is fixing or perhaps ironing the ship and gets lost out in the desert. Doll Taki returns to Dr. Mew, basically asking for a second chance, but instead of Mew, it's actually General Rild, and he's there with a single message. Die!
That message is
Die, you!
gun.
Rild is ordered to go take out that group by Dr. Mew, who is actually alive, but is ordered to bring back Goku and the others alive. Gil rescues Pan somehow, who is wandered out into the desert and suffering from lack of water, and gets the 5-star ball. somehow. It's a
Well,
little
he
bit-
fought the monster
They fought the
thingies,
monsters, and they
there's
got
the
a Dragon Ball.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then they find an oasis. They're hanging out. We see a shot of Goku and his balls right in front of our faces. And,
Come on, it's Dragon Ball. What else do you expect?
Yay, water.
And it's happy instrumental
It's
of the opening
great.
theme. Everything's grand.
Except
it's
for that
great.
very ominous shot of
Reeled at the end.
reeled off in the sunset of
And yes,
space.
that is how episode 15 of Dragon Ball GT comes to a close. Goku's balls, and then an upcoming what? Maybe spitting out her beer over here, and reeled off in space. So there we have these 5 episodes of Dragon Ball GT. What we're going to do first is, I forget where I have this. We first need to check, Jeff, nearly a year ago, you made some predictions.
Oh, yes.
After we completed episode 10, what would happen next time on Dragon Ball GT? You said it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Han and Gil will get captured. They're going to go to the planet and get turned into dolls. And they're going to get thrown into the stone idol thing. But you said they won't die from the process. They will exist with the other dolls. You were like
Oh my
half
God.
right here.
You
She
sure
got
you
turned
haven't seen
into a
this
doll.
before?
Yeah.
That was eerily close to what actually happened. isn't
Uh-huh.
it?
She didn't get thrown in because Doltake was there and
Right.
kind of saved her.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You said they would get revived after the whole situation gets finished. You said there would be about 3 episodes of the Lood stuff. Ended up being close to 4.
Unfortunately.
yeah.
But the doll stuff itself was only about 3 episodes. So
Right.
you're good. You said Goku and Trunks will find some way to get in and save them. You said after that, you had no idea. There will be a Super Saiyan moment, of which...
Ooh.
That, okay, I'm shocked I even said
Hot
that.
Yeah,
diggity.
you said that. The one thing that you did say toward the end of your prediction, there would be some contact with Earth to kind of catch
Almost.
up and say what's going on or what to do next.
Right.
And Trunks did say, I think we need to regroup, go back to Earth, get Goten instead. That didn't actually pan out, but
It didn't pawn out.
didn't pawn out. You actually said pan twice. Did you notice that?
No, sorry. It's hard to undo 15 years worth of knowledge.
Right. So you did pretty damn well, sir.
All right. I have no idea what I just watched.
Good job. Good
I
job.
have no idea what I was guessing either.
Well, let's talk about that. Episode 11, I think we all agreed that was kind of an okay episode.
Yes.
It had some pretty fun moments. That one, the lion comes out and Goku doesn't even, just stone face, just blast the rocks above it to destroy it. That was hysterical.
Yeah.
I wish he thought like that all the time, but then
I
we
know.
have no show.
Right, then we definitely wouldn't have any show. There are a couple other fun moments. There's that thing where Gil tricked Pan into pressing the button, so she got sent down below.
Into the garbage chute.
That was funny. And then the electrocution of the Power
Yeah,
Brothers.
they're hanging on by their teeth, which
teeth.
was kind of funny.
It was evil too. Goku's like, it's so devious
But I
what
love
I'm
how
doing.
like Trunks did it without even like reacting or thinking. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna press this button.
It
then
was
zap.
weird. I think that was all early on, if not that same episode 11 there. I mean, there were a lot of fun moments.
And it was a
in
good
that.
animation day too.
It was.
Yes,
And then we went into episode 12, and immediately, Mary, you're like, oh man, it's a
It's
bad
like, no, it's
episode-
that guy. I
Bad
was
animation
like,
day.
Load up your animation guy and let me know which bastard I get to blame this on.
And it turned out it was an Uchiyama episode. So that explains a lot. For those of you who don't know, the main animator responsible for that episode of GT was responsible as well for Dragon Ball Z episode 96. And if you know episode 96 of Z, that is the episode immediately after Goku turns Super Saiyan. That's when his hair takes up 2/3 of the screen. So we have not one of the best animators responsible for Dragon Ball GT episode 12. I think things picked up a little bit after that, though. It was
They
kind of
were
okay.
consistently better. Yeah.
Yeah.
12 was definitely the low point.
There was one episode, I forget what scene it was, but was it Lood after he had transformed or something? He got hit back.
Yes.
And it wasn't animated. It was just like this cardboard cutout slid across the screen.
Yeah,
It's
it
like they
was.
just took the one cell and like
Just
moved
moved it.
down.
It was an episode of Monty Python. It was just ridiculous.
It was pretty bad. So we had a couple moments of that badness. And so other than that one scene and the entire Uchiyama episode, overall, I thought the animation was pretty okay. There were a couple moments of, one that I picked out was Goku transformed from Super Saiyan back to normal. And it actually, his hair was fully animated going between the two stages. Normally what we get is even when he goes back to normal, he'll just kind of like blast and it'll just come back to normal after that. But we saw the hair kind of fall back over itself. And I was kind of impressed with it. Just as a little tiny thing, but that was good.
But they actually cared to show it, which was
Yes,
what mattered.
exactly. There are a lot of punches here and there that look pretty good. So I don't know if it's just because we're still early in the series and they went cheap with Uchiyama the week before so they could show some good stuff later. But overall, I think the show is, at least from a technical perspective, looking okay still at this point.
Sure.
To say nothing of the story.
Right.
Or
well,
anything else.
Let's talk about the story. Jeff, I will shoot this over to you.
Mm-hmm.
We basically completed the Lood doll stuff. The Lood dolls here.
Lewd doll.
It's
Someone was
so
getting a little
hard.
lewd.
It is so hard to hear the word lewd and not think like the actual meaning, but rather the LOOD, you know.
Yeah. What did you think about this? We brought this to a close here. I don't even know how else to lead you in here.
Well, story-wise, the episodes kind of had, I think, a nice sort of a bit like a nice batch of surprises mixed in with a little bit of the usual sort of, bad guy.
Bad guy wins for a while. Heroes
take over
get trapped.
Yeah, take over the universe and whatever.
That's
The
the-
same
yeah.
like storyline that we've heard before.
Sure.
And I kind of feel like the story was nice, but it was really ridiculous for the majority of it.
It was completely ridiculous. And we're coming off of the Majin Buu story arc in Z. We've seen ridiculous. But this is just kind of, I don't even know how to describe
like
it.
unjustified ridiculous. Like, for example, who comes up with like a guy who's all powerful, but his whip is more powerful than he is.
Right.
Then turns out that this guy is more powerful than the whip is.
Right. And I'm in charge, but actually I'm in charge. But actually I report this guy, but actually
He
Dr.
reports-
Mew is in charge.
Right. We got like 3 stages of that in one
We do.
episode, which
We
was
do.
really, really ridiculous.
It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you could kind of get a sense of like, well, maybe they were trying to make a video game out of this because, you've beat the one
Sub-boss,
boss, here's the
sub-boss,
next boss.
sub-boss, yeah.
They want to do a Mega Man boss battle thing, But at the same time, the whole thing with the dolls was actually kind of cool. They didn't become like lifeless the entire time. When they were actually in Lood, they were themselves.
Yeah.
Which kind of begs the question, like, okay, why did it take Pon to have to wake up first and then everybody else woke up? Like,
Convenience.
yeah, convenience, exactly. I mean, there's some things where you have to let that go, but
So let me ask you, now that we got through that, it seems like we're closing in on maybe someone's a real villain along the way. Are you thankful to head toward that? Like, are you okay with, obviously you have to set up the story and get to a point. Are you ready for that initial journey to come to a close and get to some meat? Or do you think that there's probably still more to go?
oh, there's definitely still more to go. I mean, you've got Rilled.
Yeah.
And
Who seems to report to Dr. Mew.
who seems to, but then who does Dr. Mew report to? Because, I mean, we thought that Mochi was the guy who, was like the controller of
He
everything.
appeared to be, yep.
Turns out he wasn't, and somebody else was. So it's always like there's going to be another guy who's...
So you don't trust the writers is what I'm hearing
No,
at this point.
I definitely don't. In fact, I'm kind of like thinking if they've written it while they were animating it, because they're like, okay,
Right.
wait, maybe they didn't draw the villain right, so they were like, okay, well, let's have another villain.
Guys, I got a better design. Oh, yeah, he looks better.
let's
Let's
do
go with
that. Let's
him.
do that. That looks
Yeah,
good.
yeah, sure.
Something like that. And I mean, it sort of seems like the story's being written by the seat of their pants a little bit, but
But Toriyama did that too.
yeah,
well,
that's
he's
so
obviously
true.
more skilled and adept and experienced at doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Although I think when it came to episode 15 anyway, because the story is so different.
Yeah, 15 is this kind of weird transitional episode where it seems like Doltaki is defeated and he's off and they're kind of regrouping.
Yeah.
But they're still getting a Dragon. It's like nothing happens in that episode, but they get a Dragon Ball and they kind of
Quasi character development out of the way.
a little
But that's what I like about it. I mean, you could pass it off as an exposition episode.
And I'm good with that.
Me
yeah, I
too.
am too. But like at the same time, though, we tend to feel more for Pon at this case. And
Do you
also,
though? Do you not feel she's too obnoxious?
At this point, I mean, I think it's a little bit more justified.
Okay.
I think after this episode.
I mean, she is a kid, and she did come in over here, Trunks being like, "Oh, I'm gonna swap her out for my buddy."
Yeah, right. I mean, like that's sort of a douche move, Trunks. Sorry, but I mean, like really, that was harsh. So I mean, it was justified the action that she took. Like that one, I felt was pretty well written. Considering.
And you saw him, yeah. She's gonna throw a hissy fit, and she's gonna be like, "Oh no, but I want to go back."
Yeah, and Gil, I never had any sort of opinion of him.
Fantastic Gil character development episode, really. That's what we get out of it. And maybe when you frame it that way, it works even better than just a normal transitional episode. Do you think Gil could really take on those two monsters out there by himself?
No, that part. I mean,
Did you believe that?
Suspension of reality here. I mean, at some point, you just gotta let that go. I mean,
Sure.
that's a major thing, sure, but I mean, he was able to find an oasis and find a Dragon Ball and kill some monsters. That's kind of cool. Great. He's actually worth something. And probably because he, maybe you could say that he understands that the people who he's traveling with are actually worth being with. Whereas before he was just he was
a
robot.
hostage, really.
Yeah, he was just a hostage.
He got the Dragon Radar, so he's with them by default. Do you feel, I guess for both of you, do you feel that Gil is a part of the team now?
Especially since you threw out the word Nakama. I hate to say that. In the translation, he said pawn friend, but I heard him say Nakama. I don't believe he's thrown out that word in previous episodes, so I think in this case that blatantly answers the question of, he feels he's part of the team.
Okay.
At this point, and certainly I did it again. Pawn certainly feels that way too, because she was like, "Oh, I was wrong. I misjudged you."
Yeah, like that's what made that episode probably stand out. Apart from the other 4, that was just like a continuation of the storyline.
Yeah, it's weird. Not a whole lot happened, but I feel like we got a lot of good stuff out of it.
We need a good character episode every now and again, especially
Agreed.
after 5 episodes of straight up
Doll
action.
crap.
Yeah.
And was it really action?
It wasn't. I'll get to that.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about the core group here, Gil? Anything we good?
I think that it's funny because I think when you first saw who was going to be playing out the series in the beginning, you saw Trunks, Goku, and Pan. You were just like, okay, how is this going to work? Like, where's the dynamic?
Look at this motley crew. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in this episode, in 15 anyway, you kind of see more of a solidification of just everybody taking their place as part of like, what type of character they are. Maybe that's like no different than it was in the first episode, but probably after everything they've been through, you can kind of see it a lot more in 15. So that kind of makes the next few episodes look better because we have that establishment. I mean, crossing fingers here, Mike, but like that's really nice to have that sort of setup. So, it kind of, if you're watching this episode, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, I'm looking forward to the next one because these characters are starting to become likable.
Good seeing this group together.
Yeah.
I hate to toss this out there, but I think this is everything that you just said as a first-time viewer. Perfect argument against the shenanigans that Funimation pulled when they initially released Dragon Ball GT, where they jumped ahead. They made their own recap episode, which sort of got numbered 16. Funimation started with episode 17, I think, when Dragon Ball GT began in North America. Cut to the action, cut to the chase, cut to what the real story is, so you don't get
like the team building episodes.
They cut out 1 through 16.
Yes, they released it later, what we watched as the lost episodes of Dragon Ball GT on DVD the first time. And when they did the complete set, it's obviously a complete order, 1 through 64. But that's what happened back in 2004 or 5, whenever the heck this was. I think it's a perfect argument against it. And you just said it as a first-time viewer. You needed that bonding to head into the story and totally buy this group together.
Let me guess, there's no Goku penis after episode 15, right?
I don't think so. So maybe there's another way to get around some of that early stuff.
Yeah.
Meri, we've talked a lot about episodes 11 and 15. We haven't talked a lot about the middle. It sounded like you were heading toward action stuff that you had commentary on.
Yeah, what I was hoping to say is that I think this arc would have been perfectly suitable with just episodes 11, 14,
something in the middle.
11, 14, 15, I think is all it needed. I feel like 12 and 13 either could have been condensed into episode 11 or just done as one episode, but 12 and 13 nearly put me to sleep.
Yeah, I saw that.
But once 14 started, I thought 14 was a hoot. I love seeing Pan take charge.
The Power Brothers as well.
Rallying the troops. I like the logic of, you have to hit him from the inside and the outside. And of course, Goku being stupid and not being able to count in English. Like, two.
Right.
Which was so cute. And then 15 was a breath of fresh air because it was so different. And Trunks
I wasn't expecting that.
ironing the ship was bizarre.
It was weird. I love that shot of it pans down with the three of them in the shades.
I had a card of that with them in the sunglasses. And it was funny as a kid. I was like, what episode is this? They look so cool.
And that's the gag.
And I don't know if I ever actually... Now that I think about it, I don't know that I ever actually saw that episode fan subbed. I don't think I did.
I know I don't own this one fan subbed.
I know my fan subs definitely end at a certain point and then they pick up again during a certain arc in the middle.
Right.
But yeah, I always wanted to see what's the one with them in the sunglasses? And Trunks has his shirt off at some point. When is this? Then I finally saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's good for gags, good for character development.
Were you okay with knowing or acknowledging that maybe it went on too long? You okay with some of the action?
I'm not.
in here?
I'm so not. I
Okay.
actually really hated episodes 12 and 13 because I felt no sense of dread from Lood.
Yeah.
It's like, why should Goku and Trunks feel any amount of fear from this villain? Like,
They're
there's
not
so
turning
much-
Super Saiyan. They're not doing anything.
Like, I mean,
here.
the closest excuse that we had was Trunks not keeping up with his training, which I can kind of buy because he's stuck
Sure.
being the president of Capsule Corp. But even so, I mean, it's just a robot mutant thingy. Like, at any point, I did not feel like the duo was in any danger
Yeah, you didn't buy
whatsoever.
that.
So the fact that this dragged on for 2 episodes, I didn't really get, other than to kind of drag out the Doltaki character and give us very awkward scenes with him and Pound.
And those are awful. Oh, let's talk about the mutant stuff here.
Right.
Because Lood comes out and Trunks says something about, I sense an enormous key from it. And here we are all thinking, isn't that just a robot? But it turns out it's a machine mutant. And I think we're heading into some machine mutant. Maybe that's the letter M2 and 2 M's
And
in
the
a
fact
row
that he's
there.
Dr. Mew.
Possibly. So that seems to be where we're heading at this point. So maybe there's some underlying stuff being built. Jeff, do you feel like there's a world being built underneath this that we're heading to?
A little bit. I mean, I hadn't caught on to the whole M thing until I think really the end of episode 14, where it was like Mew, Mochi Mochi. Like the only thing that was throwing me away was Daltaki and Lood because they didn't fit into that. But at the same time, I mean,
And Doltaki just seems to be a dude.
Does Taki
Yeah.
mean anything, by the way?
Yes, it's an otaki, I think is another way to say otaku. The same kind of meaning. So
that's
Doltaki
clever.
is
Doltaki.
literally, I think Pan even tosses out the word otaku at
Yes.
some point
Yes.
during there. So if you want, let's talk about some of the name puns. I think we did talk about some of these last time because it's been a while. So Doltaki, we just mentioned there. Mochi Mochi. Mochi is carry and Mochi is whip.
oh, that's clever.
Derp. Leon. What was that? That was a lion. Okay, we're good there. Lood, Ludo, Doru, doll, just doll spelled backwards. And then I'm not going to talk about the others right now.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
we'll get to them in the next story arc. So those are really, there's nothing else in terms of name puns right there.
Well, I have a question. If you don't mind me changing the
Please
topic real quick.
jump in.
I'm looking for a little bit of a history answer here
Sure.
with Goku's trouble with counting. Or with, I guess, rhythm.
Yeah, initially I thought it was he didn't know how to count, because we know Goku can't count very well, but they explained it as rhythm, whatever.
Yeah.
Which, okay, whatever. Sure. Okay, your question.
Yeah, like where did that happen in the original manga? Because I don't remember ever really seeing
I
that.
don't know. I think it's just a play on Goku's not the brightest and doesn't
Yeah.
play well with others and can't keep up with other folks' strat. I don't know.
Yeah, that was more of a curiosity.
It's a weird kind of thing, but I don't know. I think if they went more with an explicit Goku can't count, it would have made more sense. And I
Right.
would buy that because I do know that. I don't know.
Now, was that a translation thing or was that actually said? I mean,
No,
that's another thing too. You know?
it seemed to be pretty accurate. there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think another thing that I was kind of pondering as we were looking at this with episodes 12 and 13 anyway.
Okay.
There was moments like where Lood was swinging his arms really quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
Which turned out to be just 2 giant fans.
Yeah, it was weird. Goku and Trunks were describing him as, he's just kind of acting like a kid. He doesn't control his own power.
And that moment where it was like, some of it was justified.
They
where it was
didn't
like,
really go anywhere with that.
It didn't, but I kind of feel like that wasn't a fault of the show. Like I see where they were going with that. It was only, this machine is, set to go, or I'm sorry, this mutant is set to go off prematurely because only 2 of the 3, whatever, yada, yada.
Right.
So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but they could have probably done that in a different way. But there's like that moment where I sort of appreciated the fact where they brought it up because
Okay, you needed something there to
Yeah.
describe what's happening.
it's kind of like they saw how useless this character was and they were leading up to it so much. They're like, all right, what do we do
built
to
up to Lood for so long. It's like, it's okay. It's a giant machine mutant thing.
like let's put an
whatever.
excuse out there. Yeah, he just doesn't know how to
Why
handle
it's
the
not
powers.
effective. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because it could be that he isn't strong enough, but if he isn't strong enough, then he would have been dead episodes
There's
ago.
just so much weird writing where it seems like they're so eager to get on to the next thing, but then they waste too much time doing stuff at the same time.
It's like, how are you supposed to care about anything that you're watching when they're trying to just move on to the next thing?
Right. Yep.
What else? Why don't we talk about some voice acting a little bit here? We had a couple returning folks who had done either minor or more significant roles from earlier. We have Doltaki being played by one Mr. Hirotaka Suzuoki, who in Dragon Ball is the voice actor for Tenshinhan, playing a very different voice for himself here in this role.
He can do silly, though.
Oh, he sure can. You saw that during the 22nd Budokai doing his volleyball move. So we've heard him be a little weird in the past. When Doltaki first shows up, he's talking deep and naturally.
Right. And that's
you
when
hear him.
That's when you first said, "Oh, that's Hirotaka Suzuoki." I was like, "Huh?" And I listened to him. Oh, yeah, that's him. And then he immediately got silly after that. I'm like, okay, now I can hear his experience playing Kuno, coming out through
Being
his
strange
playing
there, right.
Doltaki.
I totally believed him in that role. I don't care for the character, but I think he did a pretty great job as that character. So
Must have been really awkward to have to be in the recording booth. Well, not
creep.
booth. Yeah, I mean, they do it as a group over
Right,
there.
studio.
Recording it in the studio, be like, "Oh, Pa, let me change your clothes. I like this one."
and you got Miniguchi over there being like, no. Then another returning role, we're just starting to be introduced to him, but Kazuyuki Sogabe as Dr. Mew. He previously had played number 13 in DBZ movie 11, so if you're familiar with that
11?
movie.
Don't you mean
I'm sorry,
7?
movie 7. Why am I saying 11? That
You're
doesn't make any
4
sense.
off, dude.
So if you recognize the voice a little bit, that's where you may have heard him before. So I think there was someone else. Was it Mushimochi? I think played Panbukin in the Bardock TV special. So you've got folks who have done minor roles coming back a lot in GT to do some other stuff. So
You know what I find really funny about voice acting, especially in
Yes,
GT?
sure.
I remember this in the first few episodes too. With every new voice that I hear, I think you could say the only shonen show I've watched all the way through was Berserk. I think it's the only shonen show I've ever watched all the way through, like hardcore shonen, right? So every time I hear a new
And
voice,
Berserk nowadays is almost reclassified as seinen, but
yeah, right, exactly.
it was shonen.
It was shonen. But like every new voice that I hear in GT, I'm just like, have I heard this in Berserk
Do I know this
before?
person?
Do
Yeah.
I know this person?
Probably.
It sounds very familiar.
Probably.
So like, I can only imagine that there's a lot of crossover here, especially because it was around the same time frame. I was wondering if you guys had seen anything like that, or if any voices from other shows stood out to you at all.
Like for people in Dragon Ball playing other characters in different shows?
Yeah, like when you hear their voice, you're like, oh my god, I know this from
Oh,
that
yeah.
show.
I mean, Pawn.
Story of
Pawn
my
is the
life.
worst one because
and
she's in like
Miniguchi's in
everything, and her
Yeah.
voice is so distinctive. In Sailor Moon, I can't hear Sailor Saturn without thinking of Pawn.
And Videl.
And there's such different, and Videl,
and
obviously.
Videl, yeah.
Just scrolling down voice actors in Berserk here, Jeff. Kenji Utsumi played, I don't know who these characters are. But
Zod the Immortal.
Zod, that he plays Shenlong in Dragon Ball.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
A voice
That's
that I
pretty
recognize.
manly.
That makes a lot of sense considering the character.
Norio Wakamoto is Gambino. I don't know who Gambino was, but that's Cell.
Gambino was like the adopted, no, not the adopted, yeah, kind of like the adopted father of Guts, the main character. So that makes a lot of sense too.
Tesho Genda as Adon, I believe he was
Adon is.
Bojack. Yes, he was Bojack in DBZ movie 9. And I'm sure there's plenty of others here, just minor voice actors.
Minor
But
characters, yeah.
Who played Guts?
voice actor for Guts played the Examiner in DBZ movie 8.
I don't even
with
know what that
Broly.
is.
Early on in the movie, when they're grilling Goku and Chi-Chi on what do
What are
you
your
do?
hobbies?
Yes, your son.
Sports and...
all that stuff. So had a little cameo there in the Broly movie. All right, so that's voice stuff. I don't have a whole lot to say in terms of music. We're getting some of the staples here, where the instrumental of Don Don comes in at the end of fights when the heroes start doing well.
But not too well in the case of the episode.
Yeah, it was one where they were doing well, and then all of a sudden, I think it was the whip person started winning again, but it was still playing that thing. I don't know. And then there's that piece that crescendos up or goes.
Sometimes it's a little too romantic sounding.
Yeah.
I agree.
Those couple pieces are coming in a little too often. And then there's the dun, 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 dun.
I like that one.
I like that piece a lot.
I don't dislike that one.
I think that was in the 10th anniversary movie as well. So a couple, key memorable pieces being played. But
And it's funny you bring it up because it's probably in these episodes where I noticed that a lot more than in any other episode.
you're starting to hear
really.
some of the pieces repeating again.
Exactly.
And there's more to come in the series, especially as more ending themes are introduced. You get the instrumentals of those ending themes into the mix, and they keep using lots of stuff.
I'm actually surprised we haven't gotten the second ending at this point, considering we're on episode 15.
I think I looked it up. Episode 27 is when Don't You See comes in.
What?
So we got a while
That
to go.
means all those other ending themes are only around for like 5
Half the
episodes.
series. Yeah.
Like, that's not a lot of time to...
Not 5 episodes, but
Not a
yeah.
lot of time.
We got a while to go. So that's music, that's voice acting. We talked about the story. We talked about pacing a little
Characters.
bit, character development. We covered a good portion of these episodes. Is there anything else anyone wants to hit? Because we can always just go to your predictions, Jeff.
I have not a single
let's
clue.
just do that. I got nothing else. So, Jeff, let's go to your predictions.
Let's do it.
We have left this, the group, we have four strong heroes together now. I will consider them 4. They're on this desert planet, but they're done. They get a few Dragon Balls. Doltaki is out of the picture now. He seems to have been eliminated by General Rild, who reports to Dr. Mew. Rild has been ordered to bring these folks back alive to Dr. Mew, who is somewhere in space.
Right.
Where do you see, and keep in mind, we're going to do 4 episodes next time. So we'll do 16, 17, 18, 19. You got 4 episodes of material. Where do you see the story going coming off of this transition episode?
Okay, so a lot of directions this could go in.
Yes.
So what I think is let's start with the previous characters that we know will come back at some point, like Dr. Mew and General Rild.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is we may not see yet where they are. Like we may not have them in the next 4 episodes.
The hero's going to go do some more Dragon Ball stuff in the meantime.
Well, here's why I think that. Because now they have 3 Dragon Balls on a ship. I mean, they're not the only ones with a dragon radar. Because
it seems that other folks can track or find or at least know about.
Exactly, because they've been tracked before. I mean, Dr. Mew is tracking them currently right now, but I mean, they were discovered having a Dragon Ball before by some mysterious means.
Right.
So, that being the case, I think there may be another enemy force that is going to see a ship that has 3 Dragon Balls on it and go, yeah, no, we might want to hit this money pot.
Gotcha.
So, maybe no Mew action, but I think there might be some Dragon Ball action going on.
Okay, a third party in space.
Right. Exactly. I said it before, which didn't kind of come true, so I'm going to say it again,
Okay.
that there may be some Earth contact
I
going
figured
on.
you're going to go there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but as for, I would love to see, what I would love to see is like nothing being learned from episode 15. In other words, they contact Earth and go, yeah, does Goten want to come back up? just to, like, just to
Okay.
completely one up the story that we just saw. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go there, but that'd be kind of cool.
All right.
But no, contact with Earth, see how characters are. Maybe there's some kind of, shot of Earth and what's been going on this whole time too. I'm trying to think of what else there can be to predict about. Let's see. Well, if the ship can be fixed with an iron, I don't think the ship is going to blow
what's
up
up with
anytime
that?
soon. Yeah, I don't understand that. But possibly the ship is going to be in some kind of peril because every time we watch them on a new planet, the ship tends to be in some kind of peril.
The ship's not doing so well out there.
No. Let's see. What else can I predict? I made a lot so far.
So you think that we're heading to a story, if I understand you correctly, we're
ahead.
heading to a story, we're not going to quite hit this true next thing yet. Maybe there's someone else out there. Maybe we're going to talk to Earth. We're going to continue to get somewhere.
Right.
Whatever.
Because there have been moments in the manga as well where there'd be this main storyline that gets put on hold because there's some random
Some other thing to go do.
thing. Exactly. And like, oh no, these people are enslaved. We need to free them. Like some kind of thing like that where it just sort of puts the main storyline on hold. So, I mean, does that mean that we're heading towards episodes that could be completely thrown away? Maybe. But I'd hate to see that after such a great episode. But that was episode 15.
Gotcha. Mary, I do want to actually ask you something here. Jeff made me think about this. Is everything we're seeing is just, it's the story. It just is what's happening. It's the only thing that's happening. You get a couple cutaways to Dr. Mew, but we don't really see what's going on with him. It's just a cutaway and then we come back. We're rather large fans of an adaptation of a comic called X-Men Evolution. What that show did amazing was the A story and the B story.
Correct.
Dragon Ball GT doesn't really have a B story.
No, we're almost always looking at the A story. I think the exception you can make is during the doll episodes.
Right,
We
exactly.
had a large amount of time spent on Doltaki and Pan, which I would consider the B story.
I would, but
Because, like, the other alternative is just Goku and Trunks flailing against
right, exactly.
various villains.
But I feel like that B story doesn't really get us anything other than, yup, he's a creep. Yup, he's a creep. I feel like we could be doing more. Jeff's talking about hints back at Earth, what's going on at Earth. I might like to see that again every
I
once
think
in a
the
while.
show attempts to do B stories, but they just kind of fall flat. Mm-hmm. Maybe because with Z, they had the manga to base it off
Yeah.
of, with the exception of a couple filler episodes where they do their own thing.
But that
now these
filler-
guys are left to their own devices, and
They don't know how to do
it's
it.
like, how do we do a good B story the way Toriyama would cut away from stuff?
But they would do a lot of their own B story in filler. I'm thinking about Goku fighting Frieza on Namek. They would cut to, there's that scene of Kami-sen
Bulma
and
and the
Chi-Chi, and they're gonna, Bulma and the crabs, they're gonna fly off onto Namek to help out as well. And that was the B story for that episode or two. It wasn't good, but you at least feel like that was a complete whole and contributed something to someone somewhere. I don't feel like I'm getting enough of that in GT right now, and maybe we will hit more. This is the exciting thing about this batch of episodes. Jeff, you've never seen it before.
That's right.
Meri,
I think I've seen it
you
before.
thought you had seen some of
I'm
this.
pretty sure I have. It's been a long time.
I know that this batch of episodes that I saw, I had never seen before. As we head into the letter M twice upon itself, moving forward here, I remember borrowing some of your fan subs and promptly falling asleep
Yep.
as I watched some of these upcoming episodes. So I might have flashes of beginning of episodes that I remember, and then I obviously passed out somewhere along the way. So a lot of this is going to be completely new to us. Staff of Kanzenshuu, sorta, kinda.
The truth comes out.
Not knowing. I mean, I know what happens from working on the site and episode synopses, and all. I mean, obviously I know what happens, but seeing the journey along the way, totally fresh to me here.
Exciting stuff.
I was just doing a little bit of research, looking
Okay.
away while you guys were talking. Sorry, I was listening, of course.
I understand.
But I found, first of all, two things that were interesting on TV tropes when it came to these episodes.
All right.
Have you ever heard of that website, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a complete entry for Kanzenshuu over there with some of our own tropes written by some super fans.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I
You're
wonder if
on
these sound
there.
familiar.
Jeff, you are on TV tropes
Why am I on TV tropes?
Because you were tropalicious?
for your contributions to Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
Damn, all right. Well, that's interesting. Well, it went back when it was...
It was Daizenshuu EX.
Daizenshuu EX, of course, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so what you got?
Yeah, so there was one for Barbie doll anatomy that was averted to, according to
Yes.
TV tropes, it was averted, of course.
We got really close with that shirt being lifted up there.
Yeah, like dangerously close.
Ugh, okay.
Censor alert there. The other one, I love the name of this. I just wanted to share. It's Disc 1 Final Boss.
Yes.
Where, it's like you're in
Right.
Disc 1 of 3. So, of course, this guy's not the final boss.
Right. You have more to go along the way.
But,
sure,
like,
sure.
if you could say that we passed like 3 discs in one episode.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That I kind of feel sums that up very, very well.
Totally. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, will never abandon the review of Awesomeness. 2012 has been a very interesting year.
That's for sure.
Glad to have you with us. We're not going to abandon it. And just at least for our buddy Joe, who made a donation many moons ago to kick off the Hermsomophone, which Jake is going to join us relatively soon before the end of the year for a great discussion, but also a donation in honor of the manga review of Awesomeness and looking forward to the GT review of Awesomeness.
It was a beer fund, right?
Initially it was, right. So I do want to, once again, this is a Joe different from the other Joe who has been joining me for some of the video game talk recently. Both Joes are awesome in their own different ways here. So I want to once again acknowledge Joe Prime here for a donation a while ago in honor of the review of Awesomeness.
Thank you, Joe. This beer tasted great.
What are we enjoying right
This
now, Jeff?
episode is brought to you by Blue Moon Winter Abbey Ale Seasonal Collection.
If you-
Tastes like Christmas.
If you hadn't had any food, it'll get you drunk.
I don't think we needed it as much for this round of, maybe in the
No.
middle.
Nah, in the middle.
Episodes 12 and 13.
That's what the
get a
coffee
little
was
bit.
for.
That's what the
We had
coffee was
coffee.
for. We started with coffee. We always start with coffee. So that's really going to bring the episode to a close. We had a great intro. We had some great news. We had a great review of Awesomeness. We have a lot of wonderful emails, contacts, tweets, and Facebook comments that I want to get to. We've done so much right now, though, that we'll save those probably for next episode. Jeff, I think a name you recognize, Jerry Terrifying, wants to call me out on some video game talk. I think I remember that name coming in before.
Yeah.
So there's some of that. Some other folks want to talk about various other things. Happy to answer questions. Hold on. Keep those pants on. Up.
Really?
About clean. It's coming in the future. We have your stuff to respond to. Julian will, of course, continue to join us. We talked about the movie. He's so much looking forward to that. Heath is doing well. He's got the little one to think about, so I'm kind of leaving him over there. He's producing content for the website like nobody's business, though, so he's amazing. And like I said, Jake, our buddy Herm, is going to be joining us before the end of the year as well for stuff that we have planned. I'm very excited. Meri, you have not finished Chrono Trigger yet.
I know. I'm dragging it out as long as I can because I am thoroughly enjoying it. So I'm doing all the side quests right before the final battle with Lavos.
I'm not entirely sure if you're doing normal stuff or DS exclusive stuff. You're playing it on the DS.
Tell.
So, but when you are done, I have promised people we're going to do an after episode catch up with Meri and Chrono
very
Trigger.
cool. It's definitely, I love the designs. I mean, it's Toriyama
It's through and through. Absolutely.
Rock solid stuff.
So that's a whole great bunch of stuff to look forward to, folks. This was episode 316. Jeff, of what is it now?
Kanzenshuu, not EX.
Just Kanzenshuu, the podcast. Thank you folks. Thank you, listeners and visitors and readers and all that stuff. We will see you next week for episode 317 of our show as we head toward the end of the year. Always at the end of the year, we will check in with our predictions. Julian and I were just talking the other day, like, hey, predictions are going to suck to recap.
Oh, yeah. I remember at the beginning of this year, and holy crap, how is it already 11 months later, how one particular prediction got shot out, out of the water.
The next week.
Days later.
Remember, that was the beginning of the year. So, wow.
What?
See you next week for 317. Meri, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Jeff, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
For everyone here, my name is Mike VegettoEX. Jeff, you get to wrap up the episode. Go!
Bye.
www.kanzenshuu.com. See you next week, kids.
未来はなんだか強くなった
Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
Now, kind of more like stern about it.
Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
Now, kind of like frightened.
Is my pronunciation right?
Yep. Yeah, you're good.
So a little bit more
Scared.
scared. Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
Evil.
Evil Jeff.
Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast. Mwah.
Okay, I say that's pretty good. I'll just pick whatever one I like the most.
Or just mash them all up together, you know.
Overly dramatic.
I was actually thinking you were going to say shoujo for a second, but okay. Really dramatic?
Like overacted, yeah.
Not Kaga, what's his name? The guy
Dale
from Iron
Kelly?
Chef.
Oh, yeah, like the chairman.
The chairman, that's it. Previously on fuck, I gotta do that over. All right, hold on. Previously on Kanzenshuu, the podcast.
I like it.
I think I spiked like
You
way
did.
too
I
many
might
times
turn
on
you
that.
down a little bit.
Yeah, just for that.
Which mic are you? I think you're microphone number 3.
Whatever one
You're
that you
on
adjusted
3.
before.
I'm gonna put your gain down a little bit.
That actually looks a little bit better, yeah.
All right, talk normal.
Bloody bloody blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you're
blah.
fine because when your voice expands, it works.
Oh
totally good.
yeah.
Okay, so this is episode 316 for the week of December 2nd. Okay.